Hello, in this Visual Basic tutorial, I am going to run you through loops. So a loop is essentially something that will run more than once, and it just, keeps running a select piece of code. So it's great if you want to, repeat something instead of having to write the code again and again and again. Maybe you want to run something for 100 times, maybe checking your application, checking something else. Doesn't matter what it is. So a loop is really simple. So first of all, let's create a variable. So I'm going to call it I as integer. And to do a loop, you do for. So this is the for loop. So I would like to put a comment because we're going to cover more than one loop in here. So for loop. And the first part is you assign, some value to a variable that we're going to be using. So like this, it'll be called an iterator. And I'm going to do I equals, let's say 0 initially. Then you say 2. And let's say 100. And step 1. So let me explain what all of this is doing. So it's saying initially, when the loop first starts, set I to 0. And the 2 means keep running this loop till I, hits 100. Step 1 means just increase I by 1 every single time the loop has run once. And let me just console out, console.writeLine. And I'm simply just going to write, I out to the console. And if I run it, it gets printed from 0 to 100. So that's what a for loop is. Very simple stuff. You can have as many lines of code as you want. You can nest loops within other loops. You can have an if statement here. You can have variable creation. It doesn't matter. All of that stuff is applicable. Pretty much everything else that you can do in code, you can do it in a loop. Oh, didn't want to delete that. Let me show you the next type of loop. The next loop we're going to cover is the while loop. So the while loop, the main difference is you don't have this starting bit where you assign some value to a variable, and the actual step-in, or what happens at the end of each iteration, specify that either. You have to put that inside the loop. So so if I were to replicate this in here, so what I'm actually going to do also first is I'm going to put a console.writeLine, and I'm just going to write out for loop. Now I'm going to do console.writeLine. I'm just going to write an empty line out as well. So I will copy this while loop, and I will do it again here, but I will just put a bunch of underscores. Just, you're just how we're formatting, that's all it is really. Just aesthetics. And now to do that exact same for loop, first of all, we need to assign I to 0. Doesn't matter what I is initially, but we can't assign it like this. We need to assign it before the while loop occurs. Then we put while I is less than or equal to 100. So that's the condition now. So while it's less than or equal to 100, we run some piece of code. We do console.writeLine, and we print out I. But we need to increase I, otherwise you'll get into an infinite loop. And let me show you what happens. It's just constantly, printing at 0, simply because I isn't changing. Therefore, I is always less than 100, so it never gets out of it. So we need to do I plus plus. So I plus equals 1. So we are just incrementing it by 1. If you need a bit of assistance with what this is, feel free to have a look at the operators video. So if we run this now, we get, so scroll up, we get for loop 0 to 100. Then we get while loop 0 to 100. And that's it. Very simple stuff. Let me show you the final loop. So the final loop, I will copy this. This is called the do while loop. And the do while loop is sort of similar to the while loop in that you don't assign any values to any variables that you'll be using within the while loop at the start. You have to do before the actual step in occurs within the while loop and not part of this first line. But the main difference is the do while loop will run at least once, and only then will the condition be checked. For and while loops, the condition is checked at the start, whereas the do while loop is always checked at the end of each pass. So it's gonna run at least once. So first of all, let me just replicate this exact scenario, and then I'll show you how they sort of differ. So I equals 0, you do, and then if we just copy this, we also need to do the I plus equals 1, and after here we put while. This is where we put the condition. So in here we put the condition. So I less than or equal to 100. And if we run it, scroll up, we get for loop 0 to 100 is printed out. Then we get while loop 0 to 100. Then we get do while loop 0 to 100. So it's so far it looks the same. I just want to do one bit of housekeeping. Add another right line here. Okay, that's all good. Let me see what would happen if I assign this to 1,000, for example. So I equal 1,000. So the for loop doesn't run, the while loop doesn't run, but the do while loop does. And if we look, the for loop, it says start I as 1,000, keep running till you hit 100 and step 1 every time. So it does the check, is 1,000 less than 100 basically? No, then it's greater than, so it doesn't even run the for loop. Same with this, we set I to 1,000 before the while loop, then we check, does I equal less, is I less than or equal to 100? No, 1,000 is significantly greater than 100, so it doesn't run the loop. But whereas this, I is set to 1,000, it does this bit of code, and then at the end the condition is checked. At the end, the condition is technically I is 1,001 because you've added 1 to it. That is not less than or equal to 100, so it doesn't get run again. So I'll undo this. There we go. So those are the 3 main types of loops. If you have any questions, feel free to ask me and I will assist you. And as usual, thank you for watching, and I look forward to seeing you in the next awesome video.